Hello and welcome to Trolls at the Two Tonne Bridges, or TOTTB. My name is John, and I am Percival Silverlight. Welcome once again to our lovely podcast. Thank you for joining us. Of course, you can rave about how wonderful we are on all of our social medias and all of your social medias, because that's what people do. Of course, if you can't get to any social medias, tie your message to a pigeon and throw it out a window. Don't do that. This week we have some reasons to draw some more character art, which in my opinion sounds a lot like adventure.
The Log of Percival Silverlight. This morning we have mostly been discussing our dreams. They seem to be tied deeply to our own personal experiences, which isn't a surprise. But also they seem tied to the vision we shared with Grandfather Zatembe, and the malice-filled red burning eyes of some misanthrope or demon, which is more of a surprise. I cannot say for sure what it all means, so we have all decided to see how Grandfather Zatembe is and seek his counsel. After doing so, we have a meeting with Akene, one of the merchant princes. I'm sure we're in for a relaxing day of tea and crumpets. Adventure!
Okay. You head on up through the rain. It still hasn't let up very much, so as you sort of step out into the rain, it is like stepping into a shower. There's just a deluge of hot water. Well, I say hot. It's lukewarm. Hits you, and you're just immediately drenched.
So the queen looks at the other and says, "Come on then, let's run." And she starts jogging.
Bye!
I imagine them just like walking and Siliqui's just doing like laps around them.
Hey, we'll catch you up.
You know, they've done tests. You get more wet if you run.
It's alright, it'll dry. I haven't got anything that's going to go rusty. It's fine.
Fair enough.
As you make your way through the city, you get up towards the Grand Souk, and you can indeed carry out the shopping that you want to do. Zibi, of course, is swapping out his armour. That takes a little while, because obviously they need to double-check that they've got the straps correctly hold so that they can set it up. Is there any specific bits of shopping? I asked tentatively. Is there anything that you guys do want to do while you're here?
Siliqui wants to see if there's any special inks, pigments, or tattoos in at all.
Okay, so for inks and tattoos, we did have... I had a link somewhere. Where did I put it?
Who knows?
So God many
knows.
different
God knows. Where on earth did I put that?
Do you want me to look for it later and then say if there's anything on there I want to buy, and if it is that available, and then you can say yes, no, and I'll say, well, I bought that, in post, if that makes sense. She's just going to have a look what there is.
It's just window shopping. Flash art.
Yeah.
From what I can remember, there is a variety of different sort of special links that are on offer, including things that are sort of colour changing. There's a few sort of magical effects like light up ink, where it can sort of add a command word, can light up as a sort of like torch. There's things like 3D art that can either float up off of the skin momentarily or can move across the skin, depending on, again, the price of how much you want to pay and what exactly it is you want done on your skin.
She's also going to look at the tattoo artists. So I'm assuming there's more than one tattoo artist in Port Nyanzaru anyway.
There are a couple.
Yeah. She's going to have a look at their abilities and their quality of art, because she's quite a snob. It needs to be a really good artist that's doing it as well.
So what they have done is, because of course the tattoo artists display their work on each other.
Yeah.
To some extent, they seem to have this system where, you know, one particular artist has tattooed one of the other artists, and that's the sort of way of going, oh, you like the tattoos on me? Oh yeah, they made them. I have no idea if that's actually how that works. It probably isn't, but never mind.
Well, that makes sense though. Yeah.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Anyway,
I imagine it would be rather difficult to do your own back piece.
Exactly.
Yeah, for example, you can see that again, as with real tattoo artists, there is a variety of experience. Obviously, those that are more experienced have clearly got, you know, a much better handle of the skill, creating far more defined art, and a lot more sort of realistic looking art, depending on what they've got. And then you've got kind of the people that have started out, and the ones that they've got to show off. Yeah, the apprentices. They're still all right. They're good, but they're in some way they're sort of lacking. Straight lines aren't as straight.
It's a bit slightly wobbly outlines are a bit too thick.
Yeah.
Shading slightly off.
They haven't got as many intricate things to show, which you think is because they haven't been brave enough to try it yet.
A portrait of a face looks like it's been burned slightly.
Yeah, sort of.
The famous burned man.
The thing is, part of me thinks that with magic they could potentially like have it removed.
Their version of laser. Yeah.
Yeah, their version of laser. I kind of feel like magic, there's probably something there, like somebody's created a spell specifically for that task.
But then some people still keep things, so some people just have no idea that what tattoos on them is actually shit. They're just like,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
So what are you going to get, Siliqua? Are you going to get an anchor or a puma? Something like that.
2 swallows.
Swallows. That's always a good one.
I think I'll decide that myself. I think my taste is slightly different from you.
Oh, you could get a picture of a dog.
I could get a picture of your face, Percival. I'm going to get a picture of your face right on my arse.
Oh, would you like me to sign it? Would you like me to sign it? I'd be more than happy to sign it.
I just have this absolutely amazing image of Percival with no understanding of how to tattoo, sat there with like his needle on a stick and his little wooden hammer, sitting there attempting to sort of, you know, attempting to use his calligraphy skill to tattoo his name, but with no understanding of what he's doing. And it's just this sort of random smush that looks like, you know, a 4-year-old who's, you know, attempting to copy something they've seen in a book but doesn't really understand. They're looking really proud of it. Like, yes.
The only way we get better is to do. And do again.
Anyway, back at the plot. So yes, there is a range. I have no particular sort of thought in mind for like how exactly to change up prices and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure from what I can remember of the rules I found, the prices are kind of left up to the DM, so I will do a bit of research into that. But yeah, certainly out of game we can have a bit of a conversation about what you would like, and then we can sort of we can work out some free time where you can say Siliqua goes for a couple of hours and gets this done.
That's cool.
Anything else anybody else particularly wants to deal with in the Grand Souk?
There's a couple of bits I wanted to quickly grab. Nothing spectacular. I wanted to get a scimitar, which is 25 gold, I believe.
Yep.
Another tent, because my one was trash.
I was just thinking the same thing, actually.
If there's stuff from the player's handbook that you want to buy, as long as you just pay the amount in there, you can just get it from the Grand Souk.
Yeah.
It's only if you want something special that isn't listed there.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I was just making sure that it was known that I was going to certainly get a scimitar and stuff. And one last thing, I want to get a whip.
You want to get a whip? Okie. You're a kinky man. Got it.
No, I've got to go full indie.
That's it.
Rana doesn't need anything expensive, but he does briefly visit a cloth and leatherworks merchant, and get some small, unexplained tears repaired on the seam of his trousers.
Okay, fair enough. They don't need explaining. They speak for themselves. Okay, thanks. Zibi, anything else you particularly wanted to deal with?
No, I'm all good. Did you want me to describe my armour for everybody? Or?
For the listeners?
Yeah, for listeners, you can describe the armour that you get.
So, what Zibi has replaced his rather tattered and worn clothing, although he does retain his bearskin cloak. Mm-hmm. Not wearing it; it's rolled up as part of his bedroll at the minute. But so it's just, a long, bright red tunic, embroidered with thunderclouds, gusts of wind, lightning bolts, etc., along the edges. The silver buttons up the front and up the sleeves to roughly the elbow. And it's tied with a sash around his middle, but that's been made from his part of his kilt. So it's his dark green family tartan.
Is that the sash that's made a part of his kilt?
The sash is, yes. Yeah. He's just had a couple of sort of silvery tassels added to each end to make it a bit more bling.
Does that mean Zibi's not going to be wearing his kilt, or his kilt's got shorter?
It's now a miniskirt.
The kilt has a thing that goes over the shoulder. With a traditional kilt, you have the bit that goes around the waist, and it goes over the shoulder as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that bit, the bit that went over the shoulder, so he's still got the kilt.
Oh, okay.
He's not going to give it away. That's wrapped up carefully at the bottom of his pack.
I was just concerned about how much leg we were going to all be seeing.
Well, no, the tunic comes down to roughly his knees anyway.
Oh, okay.
So and under that he's got a pair of sort of like loose trousers and sort of high boots, and over one shoulder he's got a nice little sort of leopard skin cape, which he just wears over one shoulder, and over the top of that is armour, which, and to be honest, if you want to get an idea of what this looks like, you probably, if you just look up Polish Hussars armour, you'll get an idea of what this looks like. So it's really sort of shiny silver armour with the edges picked out in brass. And if you look carefully, in fact, Zibi points to it, it's etched with prayers to Thor in Dwarvish.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Is there a reason why you've picked Dwarvish as a language to do the players, where you're not a dwarf?
They make the best armour.
Well, yes, you got Dwarven Forge, but I was wondering if there's a particular reason for Zibi to pick that language.
I just have an affinity with the dwarves. I've known lots of dwarves, and some of them are quite good friends of mine.
Well, that's lovely.
So, could call it beard love.
This is where I got some of the idea for some of the braids from as well.
It looks very nice.
And you see Zibi's actually looking quite pleased with himself. Normally he's just a bit sort of all over the place and quite, not scruffy, but dishevelled. And you look at him, he's actually sort of looking at himself and going, I quite like this. This is good.
Soliloquy puts both their hands to Zibi's face, like by his jaw, and sort of tickles his jaw and beard. He goes, "And you have a lovely beard. It's beautiful." And but yeah, you look very smart. It's really fetching.
Well, it cost me enough, so it better do.
It's you might have some work to keep it so shiny, though. Otherwise, it will show every fingerprint.
I do think it's quite understated, though, Zibi.
They give me a nice little cloth that I can just buff things out.
Well, that's good. You do know, though, if you can't stand in front of Percival, because he'll get nothing done. He'll be looking at himself in your armour forevermore. No work, no fighting, nothing will happen.
Looking in your ass constantly with a shiny bat.
I know. I can see him already. You look, his eyes are just like glazing over.
Straightening his eyebrows.
It's amazing. It's like my eyes follow you wherever they go.
So, having collected your various goods from the Grand Souk, you head on up through the merchant wards, following routes that are now becoming quite familiar to you, to be honest, heading on up to the Temple of Severas, and I kind of presume cheerily greeting Gary at the door.
Hey, Gary!
Hey, Gary.
Hello, welcome. It's good to see you again. Are you well? Zibi, that's new armour, isn't it?
Nice of you to notice. Have you had a haircut?
Oh, you know, I didn't think you would notice, but yes, in fact, I've had a nice little trim.
So you just got a mullet.
It's actually got a mohawk. No. How can I help you today?
I would like to see Grandfather Sitembe, make sure he's okay after yesterday, day before yesterday.
Last night.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. It was last night. Yes.
Yeah.
It does. Time is a funny thing in D&D, but yes, it was last night. Yes. Grandfather Zatembe. Now, you see, I'm sure he would love to see you, but he's, as far as I know, he hasn't yet regained consciousness, I'm afraid. So whether or not he really would like to see you just now, I can't actually answer for sure.
Can we have a quick chat with one of the what was it? Can anybody remember the name of that guy that was on the vision thing with us?
Let's have a look. The one that told
Steve?
us how... Yeah, Steve.
I think his name was Steve. Yes.
Steve. Hey, Steve.
Although Steve was also the name of Rana as a monkey.
That's true.
It's an excellent name. And I'm not going to knock it.
Gary tells you that Steve would be available to meet, and he directs you to his office. So if you would like, you can go up and meet the acolyte, which I assume you guys would like to do.
Yes.
You are met in a little room that serves both as office and as the bunk for Steve, much similar to Grandfather Zatembe. And he looks at you. He looks at you quite pleased, but there's also, you detect there's an ever so slight air of trepidation there as well. Hello, it's lovely to see you all again. How can I help?
We don't mean to intrude or get in the way of your day. I'm sure you're very busy.
The cares of the Temple of Severas are not overbearing.
Just kind of sweeping,
Persevere.
that kind of thing.
There's more to it.
There's teaching. There is teaching, of course, to do. We are
teaching.
after all
sweeping?
No. We are a centre of learning.
About sweeping.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And we, without beyond our capabilities as diviners, we are, in a way, we are a school. So we have plenty to deal with, but I'm currently overseeing the sort of the management and the it begins with an A. Not accounting. Administrative, that's the one. Yep. The administrative duties of the
I see you're the admin.
Thank you, Rana.
As a note, that wasn't Rana. Rana doesn't know what administration means.
No, I want him to.
I know.
Actually, I think you're fine. My words per minute are 129.
Everyone does a double take as Rana's just kind of like administration. Thank you, Rana.
Yes.
What?
Rana turns around and starts discussing the logistical capabilities of the current administration. And... It would just have absolutely no idea. No, Rana does not do that. Rana doesn't know he doesn't know what administration means. Rana is currently admiring just the general scenery and staring out the window if there is one.
But yeah, how can I help?
We have a few weird questions, really. I mean, we're very sorry to hear about Grandfather Zatembe still. We did partly come here to check on him and to see how he's doing.
He is doing okay. The nurse tells me that apart from just occasional, peculiarly, but she seems to be getting like static shocks off of him once in a while. But beyond that, there doesn't seem to be any other, I don't know, for want of a better word, symptoms. He's just asleep, I think. At least the nurse seems to think he will be coming round soon.
Oh, that's amazing.
So he's asleep and mildly electric.
That would be one way of interpreting it, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure it's not something that we've ever had happen before. There is thunder in the air, perhaps. There is, there's something strange happening there. Perhaps it's got nothing to do with the grandfather at all.
Hey, sorry about that. Feels a bit funny that way.
Is he on a synthetic blanket?
Yes, out of game. That's my little nod to what Zibi did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have it's going to sound quite strange, but then I think most things that we've come up and said to any of you have been quite strange anyway, so it's probably not much of a shock. But yourself or anybody that was in the room that did the scrying with Grandfather Zatembe last night, did any of you have any weird dreams last night? I only ask because all of us independently had very strange dreams that were permeated by certain things that were the same in each dream. We wanted to know if any of you have had anything like that.
Strange dream. Can you elaborate slightly? What kind of strange dream have you been having?
Well, we all had dreams that were personal to us. For example, mine was actually something that happened in my past. But you know how dreams can jump between one thing and another? It was doing that a bit, but some of it was from the vision that we had with Grandfather Zatembe at the start. There was the drums again from the vision. They were in all of our dreams. and at the end of the dream, it was something that all of us had in the vision that we all had with Grandfather September. Do you remember the end of the vision?
I do indeed, yes. I remember, and he shivers a little bit as he sort of clearly remembering that rather horrid last image of the vision. I remember that thing that attacked us, yes.
That thing, its eyes, especially its eyes, its face, but mainly its eyes. We all had visions within our dreams. That was the last thing I think that all of us saw, wasn't it?
Well, this is very peculiar, very strange indeed. You say you all had this similar sort of dream, connected by these themes from the vision?
Yes. I've never had anything like it before.
Very peculiar. It's not something I've necessarily heard of specifically, but the communion is an interesting ritual. It is one that, as I think I explained when you had the vision, it's one where the tea and the incense are designed to open one's mind to the clairvoyant vibrations of the world. And it sometimes can have a lasting effect. We, after all, are acolytes of Severus. We regularly, I say regularly, some of us do have visions, sometimes unconnected to the issues that we are actually asked to observe through our scrying. And that is as a result of our connection to the divine, of our learnings. But for someone on the outside, I suppose having this for the first time is bound to have some after effects. Some widening of your mental states. Perhaps some mental barrier or some mental link has been established here. For good or evil, I'm not sure I can determine.
It felt very real. It felt so disturbing, even in the dream. It's just strange that it was the same ending to each of our dreams. It wasn't just something featured in all of them. It was exactly the same thing that woke us all up from quite a horrible night, really.
Yes, it's all very, very strange. So none of you that you know of have had this same kind of...
Certainly I myself have not had any dreams like that, although I find sometimes dreams are sometimes fleeting. I can ask perhaps with the other acolytes and see if anybody else has had any sort of strange dreams regarding these red eyes or anything else that we saw in the vision, but again, nobody has yet approached me, and often dreams are one of those things that we share quite openly amongst ourselves here. As, of course, being diviners, dreams are sometimes much more than they seem.
Yes.
If we do hear of anything, I can, of course, let you know. But as I say, right now, perhaps it is best to wait until Grandfather Zatembe is better. Perhaps he will know more, and perhaps he will know for definite what this might be an indication of.
All of this is becoming increasingly bizarre. I mean, it certainly reminds me of one of my books. I met a wizard once that tried to cast a spell on a very important king without him knowing. This subject had to be asleep, so that we could travel into the dream world and pretend that we were part of his dreams, so that we could convince him to give up his kingdom. I was a key figure in our team, leading the assault against the king's imaginary defences. Of course, it probably would have been easier just to kill him outright and dispose him. But, look, I even picked up a little souvenir, and he pulls out this tiny spinning top.
Of course he does. Okay.
Rana leans over and mutters to Zibi and says, has Percy been... he mimes like licking something in his hand and says, frogs? And then nods, like that's a thing. Like frog licking. Totally a thing. People do.
Totally a thing.
All Percival ever does.
Licking frogs.
Yep.
Percival, now, I've
Yes.
every time you regale something like this, I don't know why, but you always suggest that it reminds you of one of your books rather than one of your actual adventures that you yourself went on. Like, why would it not remind you of your adventure that you were participating in if you had participated, rather than it just reminding you of your book that you also apparently wrote?
Look, I'll be completely honest with you, Soliloquy.
Okay.
Yeah, Percival just walks off.
Soliloquy, very trusting.
And he just walks off.
Just completely ignores that. Just like, I'll be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest with you.
Soliloquy looks at...
Okay.
Soliloquy looks at Zibi and raises just both her eyebrows. See? What do I do?
Steve looks confused, but a kind of resigned confused. Like, he's just kind of like, oh, this is how this goes.
I've heard about this.
Gary told me.
Satembe warned me about you guys.
Just stood in his room. Just talking shit.
Yeah, basically. Right, what are you guys going to do?
Thank you very much, Steve. We do appreciate the help that you have so kindly put forward.
As I say, if you pass again, I will speak with the other acolytes and see if anybody has, and if anybody has any strange visions or dreams similar to yours, I will be sure to send you a letter. And obviously, once Grandfather Zatembe as well, I'm sure he will want to see you as well. Well, I say I'm sure. I've no idea what he's thinking right now, but we will send word when he awakens.
That would be very appreciated.
Something about sweeping or waxing on and off. I don't know. Does he do that?
Hey, just ignore him.
Anyway. I like to think that is just Steve, just kind of like, just like, okay.
Anyway,
moving on. So yeah, are you guys going to head on out? Do you still have anything else you want to ask Steve just now, or?
There wasn't anything else that we needed to talk to him about, was there?
I mean, you could ask him about if you wanted to, about that snake place at Yunti or whatever, but he might not know anything. He might be able to look in the library or speak to somebody that's more specialised.
Yeah, it's probably worth talking with... who would be good for that?
Well, Wakanga has his own library, and Wakanga might have heard some stuff, or we could go to the actual library.
Wakanga's library was his head.
No.
No.
That's
no,
his
he
charm.
does have an actual library as well.
Yeah, that he offers.
Yes, he actually has a palace. He doesn't need a mind palace.
My mind hovel.
Come on, if Wakanga had a mind palace, do you think... Well, unless he's just trying to totally screw Soliloquy over, but like, you know, I gave him the option to...
I was about to say, careful what you say there.
Well, yeah. But, you know, but then even if he was trying to do that, do you think if he was that smart, you know, like if he had such a mind palace, he would put a bet on at the Colosseum that would make her lose and get angry at him?
He might be super great at mind palaces and not so great at betting. That's all.
That's entirely possible. He makes a very good point. It's almost like the bet. It's almost like the bet wasn't something that you could predict. Almost like something determined by like a dice roll or something.
No, never.
Just saying.
Random number generating.
We pick up again. You guys are heading out of the Temple of Severus. You've met with Steve. You've chatted about the visions and determined that he and the acolytes don't seem to have had any dreams, though he will just double check to sort of verify and let you know if anybody does.
Yeah.
I understand that you guys were then going to head to the meeting with Akane at the Turkey anchorage.
Oh, he's going to get some lunch, so we don't really have much to talk about. Pretend we got lunch, Creakus. Otherwise...
Yep.
Well, straight
we got takeout. We're eating on the way.
Zibi's walking around with cheesy chips.
Well, that's the thing, actually.
Yeah.
As you're heading over towards the Grand Souk, I'd like everyone to roll me a perception check.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Yep.
Don't pull this kind of stuff on us, Greg.
Oh my god, two of us just rolled natural ones.
Excellent.
No, well, I've rolled a natural 2.
Oh, God.
John, what have you got?
Okay, I haven't rolled yet. This is on me.
I literally...
Yeah. So it's a 5 in total from me.
I got 17.
Woohoo!
One of us had their eyes open.
Mine's a 6,
Okay.
but actually I rolled a natural 1. I just happened to have 5, you know, thingy.
No, that's
still.
a 1.
It's okay, it's a natural 1, let's face it.
As you guys are heading on down, you make your way through the streets and towards the Grand Souk. And again, the rain is just absolutely chucking it down. So, you know, it's literally drumming a tattoo on most of the roofs around you. And it certainly seems that Rana, Siliqui and Zibi, you lot are just absolutely deafened by this. But Percival, for whatever reason, you manage to hear over the loud rain. You hear what sounds definitely like a little shout behind you. So you are able to turn and you're able to see what is charging towards you.
Oh, God.
It takes you a second in the rain to realise what it is, but that second is possibly all the hope that you have, because you realise that barrelling towards you, not particularly fast, but very fast for something that weighs probably about a couple of tons, is a Triceratops. Heading right towards you. You have just enough room to squeeze out of the way, but the others, it seems, haven't noticed. What are you going to do, Percival? You have one action.
You or us?
Wow.
It's literally, it's on top of you. And over the sound of the rain, the only thing that's giving you this indication is you heard a shout behind you.
Wow. Okay. You're saying that what we're sort of going through kind of alleyway or something like that.
Yeah, to my mind, you're going through this gate here.
Oh, okay.
Which is essentially like an archway, and you're halfway through it. It's just wide enough that you could possibly squeeze up against the sides as the Triceratops goes past.
That's not going to be fun.
There's not really enough room to like push people out of the way or anything, and maybe you could run for it. It's like I say, it's split second. There's a Triceratops bearing down on you. What do you do?
Okay. Is there like? Oh God. So I'm just double checking.
Everyone wiped out at the end of this session. What happened? It's a runaway Triceratops. It wasn't even a fight.
Yeah.
TPK with an errant Triceratops.
Wow, this is going to be
You just
fun.
bought all your new armour as well, Zibi.
Oh no!
Zibi trampled. Oh, no. Dented.
Okay, come on, John.
Right.
What are you doing?
Okay, so
I jumped. I'm half tempted to say that you're just standing there bemused.
well, so there's not really any space either side either. Okay, is there any way that I can sort of leap up to higher ground or something? So is there like some form of wooden kind of frame to the gate or anything like that I can kind of grab onto and get myself slightly higher?
I kind of imagine that the gate does have doors, so there'll be some sort of handholds in them if you wanted to sort of scrabble up that, I imagine. There's obviously also the Triceratops' back. You could try and get onto it, but that's obviously up to you whether you want to try that.
I mean, basically what I was going to try and do was kind of lift myself out of the direct path of the Triceratops and kind of get higher than it, just so that if I end up on its back, that's fine. Basically, I'm just trying to flip my way out of its the oncoming big horn.
Okay.
As I do that, I would also like to shout, "Hug the wall! There's a Triceratops thing!"
Okay, give me an acrobatics check, because it's kind of like you're trying to like leap up out of the way.
It all goes wrong.
Quite possibly.
Yes. Okay, 14.
14. Okay, yep. You managed to hop on up and sort of hug the wall and find yourself just out of the way. As I say, there is enough room to get to the side, so you sort of just by leaping up on and hugging yourself to the door, you are able to get out of the way of the Triceratops and are slightly up off the ground. Okay, the others of you hear this and you turn with only just enough time to see that something is barreling towards you. I'd like you to make me a dexterity saving throw, please, all of you.
Dexterity, my best attribute.
Not good. 10.
7.
Okay.
We all did bad.
7.
7.
I knew I
got
shouldn't
10.
have rolled a natural 20 on getting free embroidery.
It seemed like it was a good deal of time.
20 on
Now it's
embroidery
gonna-
and 7 on living.
Yeah, it's going to have a freaking Triceratops footprint in his nice new armour now.
Well, it could be worse. It could be a nice Triceratops print in my head.
This is true.
So,
Rana threw a 4 as well.
through 4. So what's that in total, Rana?
8.
There we
Sorry,
go.
8, yeah.
I was noisily drinking something, so yeah, I was on 8. Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, okay, yep. All of you are bowled over as this Triceratops comes through. It doesn't trample you. What actually ends up happening is its head manages to sort of fan you out. Luckily, none of you are speared at all by the horns, but you're hit in the back and just roll off to the side, slamming into the walls. Each of you take... Oh, you lucky devils. 2 points of damage.
Wow.
Oh, thank God for that.
And you realise sort of you're dazed, and you suddenly realise that this huge behemoth is sort of running isn't quite the right word from it. From your perspective, Percival, you sort of look down and you realise that this creature is it's like a light jog would overtake it, basically.
Right.
But it does seem to be completely untethered and making a break for it.
Ooh.
And as it passes, you hear again that shout from behind it. I assume you sort of go to have a look at what's shouting.
Yeah, I certainly, if there is something going on, then yeah.
Yep. So as you sort of glance back that way, you see 2 figures running after it. One tall man running, waving his hands, and just behind him, very clearly quite winded, is a halfling. Both of them are clearly drenched in the rain, and they are both, though the halfling, winded, as I say, seems quite, not exactly apathetic, but is clearly, struggling to maintain the energy. The human, on the other hand, is definitely yelling towards you to say, "Stop that Triceratops! Stop that Triceratops!"
No problem. As he reaches for his whip. His new whip. And Percival,
yes,
with no training on this particular whip whatsoever, although he is a fighter, so he's great at everything, he will use his new whip to basically grab onto one of the horns as it's going by, and kind of just trying to basically get it so that he grabs on and then drops down onto the Triceratops.
Okay, so this is going to be, I think it's an attack for a whip. Hold on, let me see if I can find a whip. Is it in the player's handbook?
It is. Oh, I believe so. I've got it.
Whip.
Basically,
so
I have my
it's
proficiency to the attack roll. Yeah, it's
Yep.
just
So make the attack roll.
fucking ridiculous idea. Sorry. Right, so I'm just checking. Oh, okay. So that's +5. That's nice. That's 9.
Can I ask, are they for Rule and Gondo?
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
That's Gondolo.
You don't know that. I'm just gonna leave that be for a second.
Just to double check, do we have the option to do an action at the same time?
So you do. You will do. But what's happening at the minute is Percival is getting essentially a surprise bit because you guys have basically been sort of like bowled over by this. It's kind of like it's giving Percival a chance to act, and then we will roll initiative to actually sort of keep track of what's going on and what you guys are doing.
Okay, yeah.
Your attack is unsuccessful, I'm afraid. So you make the whipping, and it completely flails, and it doesn't hit the Triceratops. It doesn't wrap around it. You do notice, however, as you're sort of aiming towards it, you realise that the horns have actually been padded. So actually, there is that kind of added extra safety that they wouldn't necessarily have pierced if you'd been caught by the horns anyway.
Not necessarily gored.
But no, that the attack does not hit. Now we shall roll initiative to determine who's doing what.
15.
Initiative is... Oh, no, it's the wrong case sheet. So, initiative... yes, I rolled a 7 to get out of the way and a 19 to do something about it.
What's the phrase? So 15 and 30, 18 altogether.
Wow.
18. Zibi was, what did you say it was? 19?
19, yes.
19. Okie dokie. Rana?
11.
11. Okay. And Percival?
22.
Damn. Okay. And the Triceratops. Alright. Okay, so Percival, having tried and failed to whip the creature, it is your go. The Triceratops has just passed, because you took the time to take out the whip and whip it. It has gone past to the point that you can't leap to it, but you can leap down and run after it if you want.
Yeah, I will do so.
Okie dokie. You catch up to it surprisingly quickly. Your faster legs mean that you've caught up with it. Yeah, it really is kind of like, it's what makes it dangerous is the size, not the it's the size, not its speed.
There's this kind of moment where I don't know if you've ever tried like if you've tried running next to someone's car and it's always that odd speed. Like,
you can't quite get in line with it. You go too fast
enough,
slow.
or it's not quite slow enough.
It's not slow enough for a walk, but it's too fast.
So Percival's looking awkward. But I believe Percival would attempt to actually get up onto the offending Triceratops. Is there any way that I could easily do that? Or
well, what you notice is that it does actually have a set of like packs strapped around it, so you can see sort of like it clearly is supposed to be ridden. Yeah. You can't maybe necessarily work out immediately how you're supposed to climb up it, but there are like handholds. So what I would like from you is an acrobatics, or is it acrobatics or an athletics?
Athletics is kind of more strength based.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering whether or not it would be more strength-based trying to climb up it, or whether it's... because it's not quite dexterity you're doing, because that's more if you were trying to balance on it. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to call for an athletics to climb up onto it.
You beast.
My apologies.
Okay.
I'm the DM, I'm there to make your life difficult.
15.
Oh, it's not bad, though.
Still not bad.
15? Yeah, that's not bad. Is that the total roll?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okie dokie. Yep, again, you're not entirely sure if you're climbing up it correctly. You managed to climb up it nonetheless, and you managed to climb up and make it to what you think is the position. However, that will take up the rest of your movement and action. So we are now on round 2. Zibi, it's your go.
Zibi and Philippi both got 19, didn't we?
I got 18. 19.
What did
you got 18.
What did Zibi get?
You got 19. Zibi got 19. So Zibi goes first, and Zibi,
19.
No, 19. You've just been run over by a Triceratops, and you can
Get
see
his number plate.
You can see Percival sort of hop down off of the gate and run up to it, try to climb up. What are you going to do?
I'm going to shout at Percival, whip it real good. Whip it real good. I'm then going to unship my hammer, and is it facing towards me or away from me?
Away from you. It's kind of it's run into your back and then run past you.
Oh, can I get in front of it and smack it between the eyes with my hammer?
I imagine you can. Its
moving quite slowly. I think.
Its speed is quite slow. So what's your movement again?
30.
30. Yeah, I think you can manage that.
It's going about the speed of a milk float.
Yeah.
A very heavy milk float with pointy bits.
Quick, Ted.
Yeah.
Quick, Ted. Get on the milk float. Get on the milk float.
We'll make another we'll do another sermon.
Make an attack for me.
I will make an attack. So that's it. It's a 23 to hit.
Yeah, do you know what? Wow. That misses. No.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that hits.
And bearing in mind, I haven't unshipped my shield, so I'm using 2 hands.
Ooh. So roll me damage.
Wow. So that would be a D10. 7 plus 3, 10 points of damage.
Okay. The strike lands in, gives it a good old whack, but unfortunately, the Triceratops keeps going, seeming... You see for a second that it is clearly, possibly enraged at the attack that's just been levelled against it. So it does continue on, and you have used all your movement to get right in its way.
Oh, no.
I have.
His armour again!
Okay. So you get hit, you get run over by a Triceratops, and then you run in front of it to get run over by it again.
That takes us round to Soliloquy then. What are you going to do? You've seen Zibi run up towards the front of this creature, and you've seen Percival running to try and get onto it. Where are you going to go?
Well, Soliloquy, she's got 40 foot of movement, so she's got further anyway. I think Soliloquy is going to try... has he got a saddle on, or a mount?
No, just Percival.
Well, ignoring Percival.
Yeah, it's harder to tell, but yeah, as I say, it looks like it's built up as a pack animal, and it looks like there is a place to sit. So it doesn't really look like a recognisable saddle exactly, though. It's just like there's an area that looks like it might be.
Well, Soliloquy has got land vehicles, which includes horse. So I'm assuming it includes Triceratops.
Yep.
Well, I think she's the only one of people that have got that as well. So she's going to do some really super nimble, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of running with fast feet kind of, Basically, she's going to run, side on. Yeah, side on to the Triceratops and run up, onto its back. So using those things and go onto its back. Yeah.
So I would like an athletics check from you as well to get up.
Would it be athletics for her, if she's doing some kind of cool?
Because I do.
Okay. Because it's that question of you're trying to grab it and pull yourself up.
She could run up the wall that's next to it, and then she could flip. She could run up the wall and then flip over onto it and look really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're running the line between athletics and acrobatics there.
Yeah.
So I query the running up the wall thing. Can you do that? Is that a feature you have, or is it
it's a general
it is,
kind of...
but not yet, I think.
Oh. No, I'll show you.
Freedom of movement.
Isn't it? All right, I was kind of getting more Crouching Tiger style.
Level, something like that. No, actually, I think it's actually higher than that. I think it's 9th level. You can run up walls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, then she actually she can jump decently and everything else, but she uses the handholds and does the normal thing.
If you actually had sort of the high ground and were jumping down to it, I would agree that it was an acrobatics kind of thing. Okay. But because essentially the way I see this playing out is you have to kind of climb up it. I think it's more an athletics than an acrobatics.
In that case, it is a 14.
It is a 14.
It is a 14, Mr. DM.
It is a 14 indeed. That does manage it. Again,
Hurrah.
The Triceratops isn't going especially fast, so you do manage to sort of grab onto it. And there's that moment the two of you get to the top, and you both kind of reach the top at the same moment, and you realise Percival is trying to sit in the space you're trying to get to.
Percival, have you ever been able to ride an animal?
What? No!
Move!
Ah!
She just shoves him hard with her elbow, moving back.
At this point, you notice that Percival's actually facing the wrong way.
You get to deal with that next turn around, though. Okay. I'm going to say that, like Percival, that's your movement is getting up to that.
She's got 40 foot of movement, though. Don't forget, she's actually.
That is true. So you definitely have the advantage on getting into the space. Are you going to want to try and get into the space before Percival gets there? Because I'm basically sorry. So again, theatre of the mind. The idea is that Percival had climbed up and had just about got to the saddle and could sort of sit in it in his next go. Because these things are supposed to be sort of working at the same time, you've climbed up, found him there as well. If you want, you guys can have a roll-off to determine which of you manages to get into the seat first.
All right.
Fine.
D20?
I'm more than happy to be facing the wrong way, but...
Go on then, D20.
All right.
Let's roll off and see how you do.
I got 15.
Damn you.
Amazing. I can't even drive the thing.
Percival.
Yeah.
Percival makes it first, and yet, Siliqui, you're instinctively like, neither of you particularly knows how to necessarily drive.
Siliqui sits on Percival's shoulders. She feels like she's got more idea.
Well, here's the thing.
He's in the way.
I kind of figure, even though you have ridden horses and you know how to drive land vehicles, it's still a bit of a change having to ride a Triceratops. It's like, it's similar, but it's like, it's set up slightly different.
It's a bit like if you're used to driving a Robin Reliant and then all of a sudden you're driving an Arctic lorry.
Yeah, it's like it's familiar but also different.
But also, she's probably still got more of an idea than somebody that's never ridden a horse.
That's true, but Percival doesn't think about that. Anyway,
I'm just acting.
I've watched one.
It's now the Triceratops' turn.
Good.
I'm super slow.
You're actually, you're after the Triceratops. So the Triceratops manages to pull away from you, Rana. You're quite stuck. So the Triceratops, having been smacked in the forehead by a great big hammer, is going to make an attack against Zibi.
Oh. Of course he is.
That is a 19, though.
Yes, that hits. Yes.
That hits. Okie dokie. So that deals you
400 points.
8 points of damage this time.
Yep, okay.
As the Triceratops uses its momentum to kind of just knock you flying with its horns. You don't go prone, but you are knocked to one side as the Triceratops clearly puts on a bit of a spurt of speed and just sort of lumbers off. Again, it's this weird juxtaposition. It's kind of like the Triceratops is clearly charging. It's not charging very quickly.
A bit like an old phone, really.
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to describe it. That's really good. I enjoy it.
Oh, jeez. Okay. At the same time, the two gentlemen that were running up behind, well, rather the human gentleman, runs up to you, Rana. He looks ahead, and you hear him shout, "Don't hurt Zongo! Don't hurt him! He's just a bit excited. That's all." And keeps on running. Doesn't even really seem to notice you, Rana, especially. He's just sort of like pelting after this Triceratops, though he too doesn't seem to be particularly fast at running. And puffing along, only just entering the gate, is the halfling that's just kind of like, sir, I'll catch up in a... and just keeps on trying to keep up.
I'm assuming that this is the intrepid duo of jungle guides, the famous halfling with the other gentleman and their pet Triceratops.
Yes, pretty sure.
That would be a fairly good assessment to make.
Fool and Gondolo.
Rana, it's now your go.
Rana will wild shape into a giant spider.
Always a good move.
He will advance, with plenty of movement as far as I can tell from the description, until he is just behind the Triceratops, and then he will shoot webs at the Triceratops' back legs in order to restrain it.
Okie dokie. So how do your webs work?
It is a ranged weapon attack with +5 to hit, range 30/60 feet. On hit, the target is restrained by webbing.
Oh, wow.
As an action, the restrained target can make a DC 12 strength check, bursting the webbing. But if it hits, they are restrained until it's their turn, and then they have to use an action to break the webbing. If the attack hits, the Triceratops is restrained.
Okay. And the strength saving throw, when does that happen?
It says, as an action, the restrained target may make a DC 12 strength check, bursting the webbing on success.
Is there any limit on what can be restrained? Is there a particular target?
Nope.
I'm thinking about. No. Is there a particular restriction? I'm more thinking about like the size, because this counts as a huge beast. Does that not?
No, it just says on hit. I will just double check to see if it has been retconned anywhere. Bear with me.
I kind of feel like this makes sense, because if you manage to like hit it in such a way, regardless of its size, it would still get tangled up.
Yeah.
I'm just double checking. I mean, if you think about it, small spiders can net things which are like 30 times their body weight,
That's
depending
true.
on the strength of the thing.
Yeah.
I'm just double checking. It says immediately restrained. As far as I can tell, it's irrespective of the creature's size. Obviously, I think the idea is, if you put a load of webs in a dragon's wings, it will momentarily struggle to beat them. Realistically, though, a dragon's almost certainly going to pass a DC 12 strength check, so it's unlikely to hold it for long.
I think Rana's just told me how he plans to deal with a dragon. I throw it in.
Yes, because if it can't flap its wings, it falls, right?
That's a good point. Question is, how do you get the spider up to fire the webs at it?
True. Well, it'd have to get within 60 feet, and then I'll be at disadvantage, so it'd be a hard sell.
Well, hopefully at that point, Rana can wild shape into something that can fly. So what he does is he flies up high enough, then transforms into a spider,
And then
and
engages
then
in
drops.
aerial combat whilst falling.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming I roll to hit with +5 against the Triceratops' DC?
Yeah. So you'd roll to attack the animal.
Very bad.
Oh, no.
10.
10. Yep, that's not going to do it. You fire out your webs, and a few of them stick to the Triceratops' leg, but just don't quite make the connection well enough and snap away as it takes a step.
Also, the difficulty being that Ron now can't do that for 6 rounds. So
What's that? The
Oh
web?
no, there's webbing.
the web has I think it's a 6 round recharge. It says recharge 5 to 6. So yeah, sad times.
Anyway, back to the top of the round, we are with Percival. Percival, you have managed to get yourself into the saddle, somehow the right way round.
Are we sure?
And you have a Percival. You have a Soliloquy trying to basically direct you as to what to do.
Soliloquy, now is not the time. I can't see if he's got a wallet, so I don't think we can stop him from charging.
Soliloquy would answer
And
him
you thought
back
mine
and
were
give him
bad.
some really
Oh,
bad
God.
answers back, but unfortunately we are in an initiative thingy.
You're in initiative, so
okay,
yes.
so she's just instead.
So you will take
Face
my
palming.
puns and like them.
All right, Percival, what are you doing?
Is there any like reins or anything like that look like I could sort of grab and try and restrain the beast?
It has been pouring down quite heavily on you for the last, several hours. So,
Oh my god! What are we doing? Oh,
yes, there are indeed reins that you find sort of have just sort of bunched up behind the crest of the I was about to say tortoise, the Triceratops.
so I'd like to grab those reins. And he's seen riders do it where you pull back on the reins,
Gotcha.
and shout "Whoa, Nelly!" or something.
Okay, roll me a animal handling check, please.
Oh God!
Can I just say, so far this is playing out almost exactly like Rana's night the night before, including the Woe Nelly.
The scary thing is that Rana wasn't the one saying it.
Did it also involve a high stakes but low speed chase?